This woman gave birth for 3 days and 3 nights. Gave birth to twin sisters. Sister died prematurely as soon as she was born. Their mother also passed away. I only left my sister behind. Strangely enough, my sister who died young suddenly opened her eyes, exposed her 2 pupils. This is the pinnacle of domestic horror films. Double pupil. In a high-end office building, the female secretary walked into the dark office, want to find the boss to sign, but found the boss wrapped in a blanket and motionless, nested in a chair. Suspected nasal breathing. Unexpectedly dead. Strange occurrence of a homicide case. The police received a report and arrived at the scene. After investigation, the deceased's name is Liao Zhenfu. The cause of death seems to have been drowned in ice water, but now is scorching heat. How can there be ice water that can drown people? The police are completely confused. Xiaotu is a police officer. 2 years ago, due to reporting colleague corruption, being ostracized by colleagues, transferred from the criminal team to the foreign affairs team. Now I can only do miscellaneous work. There were many issues between his wife, the military, and him. The police plan is for a divorce. But Huang Huotu doesn't agree with anything he says. The autopsy report is out. The skin tissue of the deceased has frozen. It can be concluded that he drowned. But strangely enough, no water was found in the body that should have drowned, and a mysterious mold was also found in the victim's nose. It is currently uncertain what it is. The police handed over the samples to laboratories in the United States. We can only wait for the results. One wave hasn't flattened, another wave has risen again. Night. The police have received another report. The victim was a junior of an official. I once reported a fire to the police, but there were no signs of a big fire at the scene of the crime. What's even more bizarre is that the deceased clearly died from burns. This makes the police very confused. One time, there have been 2 more bizarre homicides in the city. Make people panic. The director doesn't want to make things big. Let my subordinates first find a cause of death to pass the test. How could things be so simple? Immediately after, the 3rd murder case came to my doorstep. This deceased has a special identity. On the surface, he is an ordinary foreign pastor, but they are engaged in international arms trading, being ripped open and pierced by the killer, painted with patterns resembling talismans on the chest. The death toll is particularly terrifying. The police held a press conference. Report the case. Agents also sent from the US side. Detective came prepared, chosen Huang Huotu as his assistant. The only clue that can serve as a common ground is that all 3 of the deceased had the same mold in their nasal cavities. This is a serial murder case, but the connection between the murder motive and the deceased, even that strange talisman, has no clue. There is currently no breakthrough in the case. Sanfu Tian negative burning strange. Frozen to death of a young girl, burned to death without reason. The priest was unknowingly ripped open. The only common ground of the 3 bizarre cases, it's the mold in their bodies. Investigator Kevin has decided to visit the scene again. I didn't expect there to be a clue. Found a small steel ball in the air conditioner at the scene. The same steel balls were also found at 2 other sites. Originally, the killer used an air gun. I injected mold into the steel balls in the air conditioner. The mold naturally spreads in the air. On the other side, Daofu also has a breakthrough. Research on the Yanju of anthropology and sociology. At a glance, I recognized that this talisman was the life-threatening talisman of the King of Hell. This symbol appeared in the Zhengzhen temple dug up a few years ago in the ditch stack. The full text should be the steps of ancient Taoist alchemy and immortality cultivation. He didn't fully understand that Huang Huotu couldn't sleep either. I've been thinking about the case. He looked at these clues, a sudden appearance of spiritual light. Stacked them together, unexpectedly. Several prominent words have been circled out. The names and identities of Fu Maya, Jing Wang, and the 3 deceased individuals correspond to each other. If this is the logic of the killer, so the next victim must have something to do with Wang. The research results on mold have also come out. This mold is mixed with insect ingredients, named rebirth. Fungal polyps can cause hallucinations in the deceased. That's why there are signs of going against the current and burning. As expected, the 4th victim's name is Chen Liang Wang. Heart is dug out. Cruel means. It seems that these murders are all related to cultivation of immortals. But Kevin doesn't believe in God Buddha. He thinks everything has scientific basis. Watching everything come to light soon. Huang Huotu also confides in Kevin. The colleague who reported it years ago was actually his brother-in-law. He will be sentenced for corruption in society. The unbearable brother-in-law kidnapped his daughter. Decided to perish together. Unexpectedly, a strange scene happened. The bullet that was supposed to hit my daughter, but turned towards my brother-in-law. My daughter may have been stimulated. Can't speak anymore. The family now appears to be harmonious on the surface. Actually, it's also stormy. Huang Huotu came to find the academician again, understanding the information and experience of cultivating immortals. The 5 jail trial can become an immortal in the 6th path. There was a person named Huang Shang in the Song dynasty, with double pupils. You can find sinful villains in the crowd. Kill the villain. It's about practicing justice on behalf of heaven. Can increase cultivation. In addition, Sheoan and Tian represent fire and earth. Isn't this exactly his name? Huang Huotu has lingering palpitations in his heart. The police never expected it. Inside a high-end building, There's actually a huge Taoist temple. The police found a clue from the license plate at the fourth scene. Belongs to the owner of a certain company. I don't know how to believe in religion and even move a temple to Taiwan. The name of that temple is Yingzhen Temple. The case is already very clear. The police will immediately mobilize their forces, discovering that there are eerie positions being held inside. I also found a lot of tools for the crime. What could have been a direct confession? Unexpectedly, believers directly resist, get involved with the police. Huang Huotu came to support. I also found a woman in a coma in the secret room. He was used to cultivate mold for his abdomen. The woman was rushed to the hospital. Arrested boss confesses. Everything is his behavior. The case seems to have come to light. Kevin is also preparing to depart and return. 2 people remove the guard, get drunk. I didn't expect to wake up the next day. Kevin remained silent. Huang Huotu discovered that his tongue had been forcefully pulled out. I'm already dead. Isn't the killer already under arrest? Who did this harm? The police arrived at the scene. Mold was found in both Kevin and Huang Huotu's nasal cavities. Huang Huotu, who was sent to the hospital. My mind is in a state of confusion. He kept thinking about the academician's words. He fell into a coma. Through dreams. Seems to have seen the woman in a coma. He was originally the one who wanted to cultivate immortals. He ran to the woman's ward. Discovered that he had long since disappeared. Huang Huotu ran non-stop to Yingzhen Temple. Found her hanging upside down from the ceiling. There are double pupils in the eyes. A large amount of mold has fallen down. Huang Huotu falls into an illusion. He seems to have returned to the day his daughter was kidnapped. Watching my wife and children die in front of me. His body collapsed. Women want him to shoot themselves. But as a police officer, he would never allow himself to make mistakes. Gun wiping and fire extinguishing room. The bullet brushed the corner of a woman's eye. The woman passed out in a coma. After taking him to the hospital, Huang Huotu only learned about a woman's background. He was originally one of a pair of twins. But my sister died young at birth. Growing up, women always say they can see their sisters, saying that my sister has ascended to immortality. After returning home, Huang Huotu discovered that he had signed the divorce agreement. Even the wife is still beating and scolding her daughter. He took a closer look. Where is this my own wife? It's clearly that woman. Watching a woman hold on to her daughter would kill him. He can only take out his gun, continuously shooting at women. Come back to your senses. He was still in the true immortal temple. All of this is an illusion created by women to make them kill themselves. Inhaling a large amount of mold, the yellow clay also fell into a coma. He seems to have lost his breath. Wife cries loudly, a daughter who couldn't speak up. At this moment, he also opened his mouth and called out to his father. Past events flashed through Huang Huotu's mind, gliding corners of the eyes. Teardrop. It's his reluctance towards his wife and daughter.